knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're an Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I would slap you.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Welcome to the second hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show today. Thank you so much for being with me. The Manhood Hour is coming up in the third hour, rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. If you don't do that, goodbye, America. It is over. But for now, I'm speaking with Dick Gregory, a comedian, civil rights activist, and a drum major for justice and equality. Dick, it sounds as though, and again, I appreciate you being here. We're going to take some calls for you. It sounds as though you have not gotten over the past.
Me?
Uh-huh.
No, you don't know that. You said sound.
Right.
I know people sound like billionaires and they broke. So sound, no sound don't mean nothing.
So you don't harbor anger for the past injustice, right?
No, listen. Slavery happened, okay? So you can't wipe it out. You reduce it to a bit part. And I tell people when you go to the movie, don't leave when it's over. Stay and look at them thousands of names that come down, and they're there. I take all the horror that have ever happened to me and reduce it. It will never be the star of my movie. I reduce it down to a bit part, okay?
Yeah.
And then when I hear people talk about black fathers at home, ask the mafia. What's the mafia? You can't get no more family values than them.
So are you in support of black fathers being home to help raise their children?
No. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something. When I was in the military, I didn't have no family. But had I had a family, nobody told me if you go and get killed, it won't be a black man at home. How is it as long as America is sitting in a situation where I'm killed and I can't come back? My family, they never tell not one soldier, and I don't know how many people you know if you've been in the military, ask them, have they ever told you there's a possibility you can be killed and your family be affected by it? Okay?
But let me ask you this way. I'm black and slow, so I'm missing the point here. Black children are suffering today primarily due to the lack of father and mothers in the home. 70% are born out of wedlock, and that is having a negative effect on the lives of these black children. Do you agree with that or disagree?
No, I do not agree with that. I think it's an insult to say that to black women.
Why is that? It should be an insult that they're having 70% of their children. I mean, that 70% of black children are born out of wedlock. That should be the insult.
Okay, then how many white children is born out of wedlock?
It doesn't matter. It's still wrong for black people to be doing it.
I didn't say that. You see, let me tell you something.
But why are you asking me about the white folks?
Let me tell you something. Ben Carson, didn't know how much money that institution he worked at got from the government. And when he said those things that sound like it was insulting to the press, they cut him off because they didn't want their money cut off, okay?
Well, what does that have to do with black out-of-wedlock birth? It's out of control. It's having a negative effect on the black communities, black family, and the country at large. Ben Carson has nothing to do with that.
I didn't say that. I'm just
talking about... Well, why are you jumping to Ben Carson when I asked the question, is it bad, is it negative that 73% of black children are born out of wedlock? Is that a negative thing?
Anybody that don't have a family structure, okay, we didn't have it during slavery. And look at the heights we have made, okay? When you stop and think about the guy who invented the elevator, okay, and got a patent on it, okay, he didn't have a family structure at home. He got the patent in 87. Okay.
Greg,
When you look
let
at
me ask you,
Frederick
because of
Douglass-
time, let me ask you this. What do you think about black men dating and or marrying white women? What do you think about that?
Well, I have no problem with that, and now you're going to see more of it because they go to school together.
Right.
They react together. I have no problem with that, and I can say it as a person who have never dated a white woman. Okay.
And why
Now,
haven't you dated
Let
one?
me just say this. Let me say this. One of the problems I see is the black woman's reaction. Go to a basketball game out there. The arena is full. It might be 3 black guys with a white woman. The rest of those folks is black. Walk down the street. And so what have happened to a black woman's head that has such an aura around a white woman that get on a plane, you might see a black man and a white woman together, but most of the folks is black and black, okay? So what's the horror there? I have no problem with that one way or the other and never have.
One of the reasons that many black guys are getting involved with non-black women is because not all, the average black woman is angry, starting with his mother, and so he doesn't want to be bothered with that type of anger, and he's trying to get away from that.
Are you married to a white woman?
No,
You ever dated one?
I have.
Okay, so why all at once we come up with theories about? Don't nobody want to talk about that yellow thing. You know how many black folks would never marry a dark person? Huh? Okay, but we don't want to talk about that, okay?
But it is true that the average black woman is angry and out of control.
There's a whole lot of black women that's not angry and out of control.
I know, but everyone is. Do you agree to that?
Everybody has anger.
But I know,
You
but
be angry for what you're putting in your food.
But you shouldn't pass that anger on to your children, and you shouldn't turn your children away from the fathers, and that's what most of these black women are doing, and it's not good.
Well, that's what you say. Huh?
Let me
When
ask
you think about the successful black folks in this country that didn't have a father at home, okay, that made it all the way up to the top. All black folks is not angry.
I just
There's
say
a lot
all,
of-
just most. Most black women are angry, and one of the major problems in the black community. One of the major problems in the black community is anger. That anger is destroying everything, and we have to deal with that in order to bring things back together again.
All right, then how do you deal with it?
I encourage the black men and women to forgive their mothers for setting them up by passing her anger down to them because she's mad at the father. And she passed that anger down to her children, interrupting their innocence and causing them to become angry as she is.
And what do you base that on?
On reality.
Okay, so
Well,
if you got a headache and you base it on because you're not qualified to deal with it, and you really got a brain tumor, and you don't take aspirins for brain tumor, okay? And so I'm just saying this is what happens to us. We always get somebody out here that want to solve a problem and not qualified to solve it.
But who made you qualify? Reality is there. A blind person can see that it's the anger and the destruction of the family that's holding black Americans back, many of them, most of them back.
Anger
and you don't
is
need
bad.
some expert to tell you that. It's common sense. You can see it
Anger
yourself.
is bad for anybody.
Right,
okay?
but it's destroying the black community because most people are not dealing with that anger that is being passed down from the black woman, not the black man.
We always want to blame stuff on the woman, the woman.
No, they blame men for everything. They don't blame the woman. We're going to take some calls when we come back right after this break. 888-77-JESSE.